Melanie here with Las Vegas Sports Network, and I'm here being joined by the man of the hour, the Vegas Golden Knights broadcaster, Dan Duva. Now, first off, welcome back to Vegas. How was your summer?
Thanks, Helen. Great to see you. It was wonderful. Got to spend some time back east and help out with some students, the Cape Cod Baseball League, see some friends and family, but ready to be back in Las Vegas and get rolling with some hockey.
Yes, speaking of hockey, we'll obviously camp in the preseason right around the corner, just a few weeks away. They did so well in their inaugural season. What are some of your expectations for them this year?
You know, I think one of the expectations is for them to approach things the same way they did last year. In other words, there were very low expectations from the outside. So what did the coaches do? What did the players do? They just had no expectations. Not high or low, just no expectations. It was a one game at a time mantra from George McPhee and from Gerard Gallant. I think they're going to do the same thing. So rather than set the bar really high like win the Stanley Cup or set the bar really low like miss the playoffs, they'll do none of that. They simply expect to win each game, and they'll take it from there. It's still a very good roster. It's a talented group, and we'll see how they do this time around.
Well, looking at the roster, a couple of changes, no James Neal, no David Perron, Lucas Spiza, but the additions, Paul Stastny, Nick Holden, and I know they re-signed Ryan Reeves. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that the addition of Paul Stastny is the headline move, given his pedigree, his dad and his uncle having been so successful in their playing days, and Paul himself, he's a leader. He was great at the University of Denver in college, then playing with the Avalanche, and of course saw him up close as an opponent with the Blues and then the Winnipeg Jets last year as a center, as a guy with some size, some playmaking ability. I think that if you see Stastny alongside Alex Tuch, even though Stastny is about 10 years older than Alex Tuch, it just seems that those two would be a really good fit together. So he's an exciting addition. Nick Holden shores up the blue line. I think that Nick fits in that category of someone who, in the right situation, with the right coaching, can really up his game. And we've seen that happen with other Golden Knights defensemen. So I think he's a terrific addition, having come over from the Rangers.
Now, are there any other players that everyone should kind of watch out for?
One guy that you got a sense of more so late in the season was Tomas Nosek. And he had those big couple of goals in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final against Washington. And you started to see the kind of player that he can be. He had so much success at the minor league level. He'd won a championship just 2 years ago now with the Grand Rapids Griffins in the Detroit minor league system. And when paired with the right guys and given the right opportunity, can he step up to the next level? He was very effective in that fourth line role, mostly with Bellemare and Carrier. But it seems that if there's somebody who can take a big stride forward, it might be him. I know that there are a lot of other guys on this list too. Ryan Carpenter made a very strong impression last year. I don't know what the ceiling might be for him, but you can go up and down that list. There are a lot of guys, and it might even be someone we don't know. Maybe it's a minor league guy, a junior guy who comes up. If it's a young player, a guy who's been in the minors who might make a splash. The Golden Knights are so good at finding those players and giving them the right opportunity.
Now, what do you think about a player like Shea Theodore and kind of what's going on right now?
Yeah, well, Shea is probably the guy that they expected to finish his contract last. In other words, you deal with the unrestricted free agents, then the restricted free agents, and because Theodore is not arbitration eligible, he's, and this is going to sound bad, but it's really not, he's kind of at the last person on the list. So it's not a surprise that he hasn't been signed yet. Barring some big trade or something like that, I would very much expect Shea to be locked up by George McPhee and the Golden Knights. I don't think that Shea is going to do a holdout like we used to see years and years ago where players would just stay on the sidelines and miss time. I don't think that's going to be the case with Shea. He had a very good first full NHL season. A couple years ago with the Ducks, he'd been back and forth from San Diego in the American League up to Anaheim and back and forth and back and forth. Once he finally got that opportunity to stay in the NHL, he seized it. So we'll see how it all plays out in terms of the contract, but he's expected to be right there as one of the top producers on the blue line.
Yeah, and lastly, I know when you were on Fox Sports Radio, you were kind of talking about unpredictability of the season, and you never know like who will step up, what will happen. But with that being said, do you have any predictions for this season?
My prediction will be that the team's character, because of what Marc-Andre Fleury brings, will remain in a very similar way to last year. balanced in that there is not going to be this hierarchy of older veteran players versus the new young guys, and we've got to break in the young guys. It very much is a balanced leadership. Fleury ensures that. He's got a calm demeanor. He's always got the smile. You've got the leaders like Derek Englund, who are the elder statesmen, but you've got younger leaders too, like Jonathan Marchessault, and even Alex Tuck is kind of the leader of the youngest group. So I think that there's really a balance among the leadership, and I think that's a strength for this team, the personality of this team, the resilience. I think all of those characteristics that the fans enjoyed seeing last year, I think those characteristics remain. That's my expectation.
Very well said. And also kind of like last year, how there may not be an official captain, right?
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to name a captain. It seems that if there is one that needs to be picked, it would be Derek Englund. Of course, he's the guy who's lived here and has the experience. He's the elder statesman. He has the demeanor. And then, of course, when the Golden Knights won the Western Conference Championship, who went to go lift the trophy? It was Derek Englund. So there is that deference to Derek. And if they decide to award a C, I would guess that it's him. But I don't think that there is necessarily a benefit in doing that. I think that because there is balance in leadership, it really strengthens the roster up and down that, hey, we don't have to just look at Derek Englund as our only leader. We have leadership up and down the lineup. So it wouldn't surprise me if they stayed with the current situation.